Kirby, that's the name you should know. Kirby, 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 he's the star of the show. He's more than you think, he's got maximum pink. Kirby, Kirby, Kirby's the one. He comes right, back-at-cha. He comes right, back-at-cha. Give it all that you got, take your very best shot. Cause then you're right back at you for sure, yeah.
How can I help you, King DDD?
I need a monster to claw with that there Kirby.
That's what we do best at NME.
You better get it with a money back guarantee.
Kirby, 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 saving the day. Kirby, 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 he's here to stay. Don't be fooled by his size, so won't believe your eyes. Kirby, 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 Kirby's the one. Right back at ya. Yeah.
And welcome to who is the best Super Smash Bros. Character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, based on speed, strength, abilities, greatest feats, etc., etc., etc. So, today's episode, if you couldn't tell by the intro, we are covering the Kirby series. Yeah, originally I was thinking that Kirby wouldn't be able to survive a World of Light, but, you know, stuff happens. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna talk about Kirby today, and Meta Knight and DDD. So, we're gonna start off with the pink puffball. That is Kirby. So, yeah, let's poyo ourselves over into our character. So when it comes to our pink puffball, there's a couple things that we need to establish. One, the Kirby anime is more or less canon, in a sense. Like, there's certain parts of it that are canon, but the whole show does not fit in the continuity. And I will specify when something is within the show and if it's canon or not. But since Mr. Sakurai helped out with the show, I'm counting the majority of it as canon because whatever Sakurai says, that's what goes. That's the rule I said. So, when it comes to Kirby, he's got a lot to him. He's really young. He's really cute. He's pretty much on the his series is more on the slapstick side, than the, more serious side, per se. He's really cheerful and positive. He loves to help others. He loves food, and, his stomach is an alternate dimension because of all the food he consumes. It's kind of a lot. He's quick to judge people, like, when his cake was stolen in Squeak Squad, he was pretty mad about that, and he, thought DDD took it, but it really was, like, the Squeak Squad, and, you know, stuff like that happens. It's not that bad. His appetite is massive. Like I said, his stomach is an alternate dimension. Oh, gosh. He loves to sing, but he can't sing very well, and it actually killed a lot of the monsters in the anime. Just because he sang, and they were like, oh my gosh, it's so bad, we're all gonna die. And, you know, he doesn't care. He's like 2. Not really, we don't know his age, but he's like young. He can, in his copy abilities, where he can take, like, the one ability from a person or being, like for Mario, he gets Mario's hat and then he can shoot fireballs, or for literally any of the other Smash roster or any of the enemies. Like if he eats Knuckle Joe, he'll get some like fighting abilities stuff. That's all pretty good with his hats. He's really soft and flexible, so he can be compressed and stretched and such. He's also similar to Jigglypuff in the fact that he can, like, balloon and, like, float around by having an immense amount of air in his system. He's good against attacks, just cause he can only have one power at a time. So like if he ate a, I don't know, Waddle Dee, he could have the Waddle Dee powers for a minute, and then in order to switch it out, he would have to eat somebody else, or I don't know. His power is limited as well. It can't go on for eternity, but it still lasts a pretty long time. He can turn into a thwomp, or garbage, or weights, or spikes, or a bunch of other stuff, like a stone, pounds, and stuff. Yeah, he's just, yeah, that's what Smash Bros. Canon, by the way, and I'm kind of giving him that just because it's Sakurai's game, and it's kind of Sakurai's child, and, yeah, he has the Warp Star, which allows him to travel really fast across, the universe, or in World of Light, he gets away from Gleam, and that's why he's a sole survivor. Probably, most likely. He's only 8 inches tall, though, so he's not exactly a really big character, per se. He has his Hypernova, which, he's the destroyer of worlds. In some form of degree, he's like the equivalent of a god, almost. And he murders them frequently. Like the majority of the bosses he faces are like godlike, like Marx or the Sun and Moon. Milky Way Wishes is stuck in my head, but also Nova. But yeah, there's also the creepy eyeball thing that is also like a destructive being. He also faces Meta Knight frequently, and we'll get into Meta Knight a little bit later. But Meta Knight actually has like the power to defeat Galactonite, which we'll get into in just a sec. But he cracked Planet Popstar in half, which it takes a lot to crack a planet. Yeah. Overall, he's pretty naive as well, and he's really little, and he's got a lot of power and a little bit of a blobby pink squishy boy. So up next, we're going to talk about the Knight. Is like Kirby's freaking awesome uncle. I personally put him in the super cool pile when I was little, and he's still pretty cool, especially like power wise and such. But yeah, it's Meta Knight. He's awesome. He can cross the galaxy in like 10 seconds. He defeated Galactonite, who is the strongest, like, being in the universe, the Kirbyverse. Yeah. He's defeated Galactonite, who may or may not be himself. That's up in the air. He can fly, which was really overpowered in Brawl, but yeah, it's Brawl. When he likes to wear his mask, just because, when he gets his mask removed, he usually leaves the battle. Maybe he's insecure, we don't know. He also might be the same species as Kirby, but that's also kind of like not in the canon exactly. So, it's kind of up in the air with how that works. He has his sword, the Galaxia, which I made out of cardboard, and it's huge. He has the Galaxia, which is a legendary sword, which actually didn't have a name until the Kirby anime came about, and the Galaxia was a big deal. It's a legendary sword with legendary power, although it's not fully understood what the extent of that power is, unfortunately. He is very unpredictable. He hates being lazy. He had his own little mini game, or full-on game, Meta Knight's Revenge, where he was like, frick you people, I don't like you being lazy, so I'm gonna just come and wreck y'all, and Kirby was like, about that. So, yeah, he's very chivalry. He actually will make it a fair fight. He, like, throws Kirby swords and stuff, and he's like, pick it up, we're going to fight. Also, his Spanish accent comes from the anime, which is a reference to the Legend of Zorro, the old movie from way back when. His cape is multi-dimensional. It can manipulate space and time. He can teleport if he just like he teleports out of there. He has his ship, the Halberd, which is pretty big and stuff, but Kirby has taken that down before. Actually, in Subspace Emissary, Taboo and Ganon used it to like kind of wipe out the other characters and start the whole thing because they stole it from Meta Knight. He can split himself into like 4 different copies, but also Kirby can do this as well. It's not exactly the weirdest sort of thing. He is ambidextrous, which means he can use both of his hands, like the same, pretty much. He can deflect Pit's arrows from Kid Icarus. Yeah. Yeah. Meta Knight overall is really powerful indeed. But anyway, let's kick it over to the King of Dreamland, King DDD. So yo, I'ma warp out of here. King DDD is a lovely dude. He's the king of Dreamland at this point in time. No one really knows how he got to the throne. Nobody knows if he's really from descended bloodline, but he's the king of Dreamland, and he really does care about his subjects most of the time. And he'll do stuff to prevent them from getting hurt, like hiding all of the shards of... forgot his name, but anyway, the Star Rod. They hit all the pieces of the Star Rod, so the thing trapped inside couldn't hurt the people of Dreamland. He is greedy. He can't read. He's also like a spirit animal, I guess. He has his hammer, where it's weaker than Kirby's cannon hammer, but it can level a building. So, yeah. He can inhale a bunch of air. It's similar to Kirby in how he, like, floats around and stuff, but it's not quite the same. He can float around for a little bit, not a lot. He tries to do what's right most of the time, and he's usually only the bad guy simply because of, wrong accusations, because Kirby is very quick to judge, like in Squeak Squad, but yeah, that's just the case. He can throw bombs, he can use Goros, he can use his hammer. He's very well motivated by food, and he actually has a muscular form. And in this muscular, beefy DDD form, he's more agile and he's a lot stronger than his regular self. But he also has another transformation, which is Masked DDD, where he puts on like a mask and he gets an upgraded hammer that can shoot flames and ice, and it can go 33 times faster than the speed of sound. Also, as Masked DDD, he is just more powerful in general, but it's limited, just similar to Wario Man. He's really smart. He's really like an engineer, pretty much, with like buttons and such. His final smashes are actually different within every game. In the Brawl, when he first debuted, he had his army. In Wii U, it was like a Luigi's Vacuum, almost, kind of. And in Ultimate, he has his Masked DDD final smash. He really does care about his kingdom. He's very strong. He broke Popstar in half at one point with his hammer. But yeah, that's King DDD for ya. Because, you know, for some characters, they're already DDD dead. Well, anyway, now that we've discussed our Kirby bunch, let's jump on over and figure out who the best Kirby character is in the Kirby franchise.